welcome to the chat. I'm Tony Fox. We have Tony, me, Tony, Henny. I'm reading exactly as what it says. My name is Tony Fox. Henny, Amy, and Joey joining the panel today. I know, it is Monday. Can you tell? How is everybody? Did you guys have a good weekend?
Yeah.
There's so many Anchorman quotes coming into my head right now.
Sure, right?
You just made Monday like even better. Thank you.
We're starting the show off on a good foot. All right, well, let's get started with a shout out to First Coast native Caleb Dressel. He is now tied with the most decorated Olympian of all time for World Championship gold medals. Dressel has now won 7, count them, 7 gold medals in his career, capturing the last few at the World Championships in Budapest this weekend. And the 20-year-old won 3 of those medals on Saturday alone. And that is on top of, the 3 Olympic gold medals he won in Rio this summer.
Very cool.
So that is tremendous. So the next question, will Caleb race a shark on Discovery?
No.
Please don't.
I was thinking.
Listen to me, Caleb. Don't do that.
Listen, that ended up being like the highest rated Discovery show like on Shark Week.
But what
ever.
does it do for your brand?
Well, yeah, people are still not over
And it was also the lowest attended by a shark on Discovery because there was no shark Discovery Channel.
Oh, well.
Well, good luck to him. So here's a question. Did you guys hear about the ever so controversial LeVar Ball? He's back again. He's landed himself back in the news by verbally abusing a female referee. When the referee gave him a technical, the coach reportedly protested, saying, quote, "She needs to stay in her lane. She ain't ready for this." Well, when he threatened to remove his team from the tournament, guess what? Adidas, the sponsor of the tournament, they caved in, and of course, they replaced her. Then, 2 days later, the National Basketball Referees Association spoke out, calling his comments misogynistic, and then went on to say, quote, "We support the referee community. This offensive behavior cannot stand, and it hurts all those involved in basketball." So we all know that Mr. Ball has a mouth on him. We all know that Mr. Ball is full of himself times 2. He's supersized
Probably times 10.
himself, yes. And I always say the things that he do, he's doing it for this reason, because I don't want to think that he is that crazy.
I don't know. I mean, this is the second time that he's really attacked a woman. The other time we had talked about it,
Yep, I remember.
Christine, who was the co-host on the Colin Cowherd
Yep.
sports radio show. I mean, he said the same thing. She needs to stay in her lane, you know, and you did it very well, honey. That was like a very good thing. I'm sure he sounded
I can
like
hear
you
him
did.
in my
Yeah,
head.
exactly.
She ain't ready for this.
Yeah. So with what happened at this tournament in Vegas, Adidas has now apologized for removing that female referee. They said they made the wrong move. Also, the Adidas director of global sports marketing, though, okay, so they apologized, but this guy is saying, well, it was a miscommunication. Like, really, what kind of miscommunication
Right.
that happened? And he claims that in the NBA, that like if something happens between an NBA ref and a player, that they will make sure to not schedule those two in the same game in the future. I don't know if that's true at all. But also, the company that supplies the referees for that tournament in Las Vegas has now cut ties with Adidas. They're like, no,
Hit
no,
him in the
no,
pocket,
no.
things change.
Well, here's my
Yeah,
question.
I mean, it's absolutely, like, I don't even know the word to use. Immoral comes to mind.
Yeah, yeah.
That you would, because this guy called out a referee, oh, we're going to remove her. That just, oh my God, that just plays into him so much.
I was going to say, with Adidas, here's the thing, Adidas, you know better, and this quote, in
Yeah,
my opinion, is damage
that's
control.
right.
When you're the sponsor of an event, you hold the power, Adidas. So don't say, like, well, we did it because he told us to. And I'm not aware of him, full disclosure, but if this is his known reputation and
Yes.
attitude, why do we
Oh, yeah.
continue to employ him and give him opportunities to be seen?
Because of this.
Yeah.
They
Continue
get
to
him talking.
enable bad behavior.
Now, it was interesting
Like the
that
child he
the Adidas director of global sports marketing made a comment, and he said that he does not think that Ball has issues with, well, he thinks it's not a female ref issue. It's not a gender issue. He says that he probably has issues with officials of every color, gender, height, and weight.
Or anybody that tells him what to do.
Yeah, and I
Yes.
feel like that's right, but I do think he has issues with women, because that was the same comment he made about
Yep.
Christine. He said about the female ref. She needs
Yeah.
to stay in her lane.
Well,
I
not just that, but he made the comment, she's not even in shape. And you are? Your mouth ain't in shape.
But if you,
What
look
about
at,
that?
if you look at that clip that we show, he seemed friendly with the male referee. So for them to say this is not a female thing, it just
Yeah.
doesn't paint that sort of
Yeah,
picture.
just what exact lane was he talking about? He needs to elaborate.
Yeah, it's the lane of which a woman shouldn't be saying these things to a man. That's the lane.
Barefoot, pregnant in the kitchen? No.
Exactly. All right, well, there's also more trouble for Chris Christie today. The New Jersey governor caught on camera confronting a Chicago Cubs fan during a game in Milwaukee. The fan was apparently heckling Governor Christie. Now, you can't hear what Christie tells the fan, but he appears to say, quote, "Oh, you're a big shot," as he walks away. You might remember that Christie was booed after catching a foul ball during the Cards-Mets game earlier this month. So there's Chris Christie, and he is confronting a bully, as you may, a heckler, whatever.
There's just so much wrong with this from a professional standpoint as well.
Chris Christie doing that?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, regardless of what you've experienced in the past, as far as people booing you, as far as you on the beach, on the private beach for the holiday, all those things, you still have a job to do. You have a brand to represent. There's so much going on. And for you to walk up to this guy and to do this, is totally uncalled for and so unprofessional.
Chris Christie is not the most well-liked public.
I know. He's one of the most
figure.
hated, matter of fact.
Right now.
But here's the difference of this. When I thought of this, first off, it's just really funny to me that he was holding nachos the entire time.
And they look so good.
But that's just what it is. But anyways, if you remember, maybe 3 months ago, Vice President Mike Pence went and saw Hamilton on Broadway.
Right.
While he was taking his seat, the crowd booed him.
They did.
It was awful. And here's the difference of Mike Pence and Chris Christie, is that Mike Pence said, "That's their right." He's like, "They can boo me all they want." He's like, "I saw the show, they saw the show, I came home." That's a little bit different than going out of your way to target the, by all means, do I think this guy's innocent? Probably not. But also, when you're an elected official, you are held to a higher standard.
That's
so no matter
my
what
point.
they say to you, and here's the thing, Chris Christie's booed waking up in the morning. Like, I'm sure his family probably boos him at this point. So, like, it's not like he is
I think they still like
It's
him.
not like he can be shocked that people don't like him. And when you go to a game that's not even in your own town, they're going to boo you even more.
So basically, what the two of you are saying is it doesn't matter that he's bullied and heckling, that in his position as an elected public official,
It's part of the job.
Here's
just
the-
can't
here-
be confrontational
well, here's the
like
difference.
that.
If
You
my-
can't confront a bully.
Put your big boy underoos on
Exactly.
and ignore it. Move on. You've got a job to do. You've got a brand to uphold. You've got a reputation to uphold. Your family, the state you represent, all that. Let that petty stuff go. I mean,
You
it's
know
just
what,
so-
though? Okay, I really do agree with what you're saying in principle.
Okay.
But then I'm like, oh, but I get it.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh, I get it.
Get
Oh,
the
I get
fact
it.
that he wants to do that.
But when he
'cause
won
it's
that
just,
election and
you
he got
know,
this job and he's in the spotlight,
yeah.
let that stuff go.
I'm with you. I agree with the principle of it all, but I can totally understand how you would just snap at some point
Yeah.
and show these people, like, you can't just be an internet troll that's never going to be seen and no one's ever going to talk back. Like, he's a real person. This is a real
Yeah.
person. You're booing, you're heckling, calling a hypocrite, what have
But
you.
here's the thing, if you got into
and
politics
being
to be
reminded,
liked
like,
by
hey,
everybody,
you
it
know,
ain't for
I'm a
you,
human
Chris
being
Christie.
too.
But I do think here's like, if he was at a private dinner in a restaurant in the back corner with his family and people started heckling him, that's completely different. You went to a game where 14,000 people are there already cheering, you know what I'm saying? And then you're shocked that somebody calls you out for the shadiness that you've been known to put out to the public.
I wonder if he had to pay for those nachos. They're
That's
looking
the
dry on
question.
the bottom.
'Cause
So maybe they
Well-
didn't hook him up with those.
What was it?
He
Was
was
it
just
was it
hangry?
Cubs and Mets?
I have no clue.
Because if it was Cubs and Mets in New York, he probably didn't. But if it was Cubs, yeah, it had to be in New York, right? So maybe he didn't. I don't know.
Okay, well, you guys know the old saying, don't do as I do, but do as I say. Well, millennials apparently are taking that to heart. New research found that despite having more access than ever for quick hookups, they're actually cheating a whole lot less than their parents' generation. Now, a new study from the Institute for Families claimed 20% of those older than 55 are reported having sex outside of marriage. Now, that's compared with only 14% of those under 55. While Generation X, born between the years of 1964 and 1981, report a 17% cheating rate. Ooh. Now, those aged 37 and under claim a rate of 12%. Joey, since you and Amy, y'all the youngins here at the table. What y'all doing? Why y'all ain't cheating? Y'all want to swipe left, swipe right, hook up, bumblebee, swipe, all that. What's up?
This whole thing was very curious to me, and I couldn't help but like wanting to throw the BS flag. And it's not because, I mean, I've been married almost 13 years, definitely have not cheated on my husband. In fact, we have a very unusual story in that we waited till we got married. I never really dated anyone before. We didn't even kiss anyone until we got married.
No.
No, we were
Wait.
young too. We were babies. We were 21 and 23 when we got married, but I had a
So
few.
you've never dated anyone else?
I had some friendly.
Okay.
I had some friendships that were
Okay.
maybe heavy friendships, but not real serious dating.
Nothing
No.
serious.
And
Okay.
so we have an unusual story. But I still I just think the first thing that came to mind was just like people just haven't had enough time yet because they are getting married later.
Well,
so I'm like, they just haven't had enough
I-
experience.
you
People
know, I
are
agree
still
that
going to
it-
cheat.
That was
It's
my
just the
thought,
history of the
too.
world. It's just the history of the world. Not saying I'm going to, because I don't plan to. I'm not going
See,
to. But
though, it's a great article. I'm pretty sure it's on our Facebook page by the New York Post because I've read it and was really intrigued. Because one thing it talked about is millennials have a tendency to have more sexual partners and then they get married and they're like, well, I've kind of tried all that. This is who I'm going to spend the rest of my life with.
Right.
The older generation, which I found really interesting, got married young, have had one partner, and they get older. What I found so intriguing is that older generation then gets on Facebook or social media and sees what else is out there, and that's what kind of tips them off.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
never sow your well. I mean, it makes total sense. The world is a different world now. Okay, even if
Yes.
you get pregnant and you're single, nobody really bats an eye if you don't get married to your baby daddy. You know,
Right.
it's like, hey, you know, rather than
Yeah.
compound this mistake, hey, co-parent, learn to co-parent or whatever. So. You know, you don't have to get into relationships. Earlier, where back in the day, it was like if you wanted to be fooling around, you had to get married. That was the choice you had.
But also,
basically,
I was
you know?
thinking about it, and a lot of my
Social
millennial
stigmas.
friends, I don't know of any
Yeah.
of my millennial friends who have cheated. True, they may not tell me they have cheated, but I can't think of it. But I
Are they married and committed relationships?
committed
or-
relationships,
all right,
yeah.
for how
But-
long though are they?
I mean, I would say 3 years plus.
Okay.
But I also know a lot of my friends who are my age, a lot of their parents are divorced because one of them cheated.
And I would say, I would go with that as well. I would say that many of the choices that I've made, for good or for bad, have been because I did have a major family history with divorce. And so seeing those, you know, the heartache involved, seeing what we all had to go through as a family,
Yeah.
it makes you think
it
more.
That's, yeah, I was gonna say I'm a
through
child
that.
of divorce, and that's
Yeah.
kind of like I'm single at the time. But I've always said I will go to the end of the earth to save my marriage to make sure I'm not yet another divorced couple,
Yeah.
another statistic.
I'm a child of divorce. I still got divorced. I said those very same things. I mean, sometimes, you know, it's interesting.
It
though.
is. This
Interesting
psychology
issue.
is certainly interesting,
Yeah.
I would say. Fascinating article.
All right, well, coming up next, George Clooney is sending the message, don't mess with the babies. I don't even like to talk Clooney and babies in the same sentence. Anyway, find out how he plans to take action. That's up next.